Welcome everyone to today's stream. Welcome, welcome. Really, am I late? I mean, I hope not. I hope not. I mean, no, I think normally I start at 8. So I think I'm early, but I'm just starting at 7 my time, just most of the time. Really, the graphic says 7? Okay, then I'm late, I guess. Is the audio fine? No, it's fine. I'm not mad at you, not at all. I hope my micro is good. Perfect. Okay, so welcome everybody to today's stream. Already in World vs. World, just in the queue, just started. As expected, we have the rush event. You can see it's up, and all the maps have queues. Nothing too exciting actually happened, so just some new gem store stuff, but that's about it. And of course the rush event, and therefore a lot of people are now going into World vs. World and trying to grind their gift of battle or whatever they want to do. And I'm, as a veteran that has everything, I just join in and get as much world XP as I can get. So yeah, I think it's crazy. If you go for the chests and stuff in World vs. World, you get so many bouncy boxes. And if you click all of them and you want to clean your inventory and stuff, oftentimes you have so many of those lying around. So I already have, how is it called, from the one reward track, you know, I get those cans and crafting material covers and those champion bags and so on, and weapons boxes. Those are really annoying to open because you always have to confirm them. And the interesting thing here is they now introduced a vendor where you can go to and they actually give you instantly all the rewards. So you can say, I want to open 40 of those in my inventory, and then it gives you the rewards. So if you're referring to those kind of stuffs, it actually helps a lot with the efficiency of cleaning your inventory. Just stack them up and go to the vendor ones. Yeah. Right. Nice. I did all the achievements. I mean, the achievements are really easy. You just kill a few of the stuff and you get really nice rewards. It's just for playing the game mode, and you get, I think, 2 reward tracks baseline, and you get a skin that you can't get any other way, I think. So it's really, really nice. I actually think I will stay here for now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think you don't need to do much. I think it actually makes sense to go for all of them because you give more tickets, and tickets are not that easy to acquire any other way. So the more tickets, the better, I guess, you know. So I would go for all of them if I have time, especially because you get more experience anyway, so you can just grind World vs. World after that anyway. So I really like those rush events, especially when it's a game mode that I can play infinitely and not have to go, for example, the Return to Living World season and that kind of events. They are nice, but they are not that interesting to me. I like stuff that I would normally do anyway, like World vs. World, like PvP, maybe even Strike Mission and that kind of stuff if they ever would do that. So I'm always happy when they do that. Exactly. I mean, the most important thing for the casual is always have fun. So you should, if you are burnt out by playing 10 hours of Guild Wars 2 or especially World vs. World, maybe swap game mode, maybe stop playing and just have some fun elsewhere. I think it's really important that you only play if you really have fun in this thing that you're currently doing. I think that's really important. And I don't know. I think the rush events are good because a lot of people that normally don't play World vs. World or don't play it as often now get to play, and you see how much people are actually interested in it because you suddenly have queues on every single map. So that's definitely the way. Yeah, I think it's I get that. I mean, I got as well comments that people just forget to eat because they like to play World versus World so much. I think that's totally fine. I get that. I really enjoy it as well. So I just want to say, if you feel like you have to grind for something, oftentimes if you lose the fun aspect, then you should maybe just stop and come back next day or something. So I also wanted to quickly mention that I'm testing a build here. I think it's not as good as the Tempest one, but I just wanted to test a little bit of a Catalyst boon support. Let's see how it works. And Fitty, you had a lot of questions about the Reaper, so let me, or not Reaper, Harbinger, Spear, and that kind of stuff. So I want to start by explaining my things, and then you can ask your questions, okay? Because oftentimes if I explain things more in detail, then in the end, a lot of questions that you might have will be answered by just my explanations. Yes, this is currently Staff with Catalyst. I really think that this skill is extremely broken on Staff, because you can completely reset all your weapon skills, which is really, really good if you want to get a lot of healing and a lot of wounds, or, for example, a lot of damage with Meteor Shower. So you can swap. I want to change the skills and the gear and stuff. I'm not completely sure what I want to do, but I wanted to test a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Staff Catalyst is, the problem is, I'm not completely sure about the trade lines, because your trades are not as clearly defined as with, for example, Tempest. Tempest has amazing utilities with the shouts, and Catalyst doesn't. So you take utilities that you would take on a core ally, which is not too bad, because they are actually quite fun. But, and that's the big problem in my opinion, I'm not completely convinced about all the other traits and stuff to make it work, because the only thing that matters is the Jade Sphere. You put it down, you get 5 targets on the allies, and they all get boons. So it's really nice. So when they hit an enemy and kill it, you get all the credit as well. So it doesn't really matter what you are playing other than that. You just put all your Jade Spheres down and you get credit for everything. So I think now the idea is, are you going offensive and playing, for example, Berserker gear, maybe Diviner, maybe Marauder, maybe something like that, and try to get a lot of damage done with Meteor Shower and just camping fire all the time, maybe resetting Meteor Shower, having 2 Meteor Showers down at the same time can deal a lot of damage to the enemy circ. But is that the correct way? Or would you rather go something like in Celestial, maybe like a Minstrel one, where you have a lot of boon duration and you just want to camp water and get a lot of water healing fields down and stuff, and just blast with, for example, Karakosa Relic, which gives you healing on Blast Finisher? I'm not sure. I just have to think a lot. I think the Karakosa Relic is really, really good on a Staff, especially if you're going for some kind of healing build. But if you want to deal some damage, and I think Staff Catalyst is actually a really, really good one when it comes to how to deal damage. You see how many bouncy boxes I get, even if I'm not capping the Stone Mist Castle. Yeah. I think Circ Catalyst is really, really fun, but I think the biggest problem is that the utilities are just really bad. You go back to all the core ones, because what would you take? So the block is, I think, not that crazy good, because there are so many unblockable things in World vs. World that happen. For example, one static field can completely destroy your block. So I would never take that. Then a single stun break is not really going to make a difference. And all those are just offensive. So what are you going to take? Maybe you take this, maybe you take this, but come on. Most of the time, I think something that helps you survive, like those 3, is just better. Yeah. Exactly. You can use the fields that you can just put down, and if you blast in it, you give the proc of the blast, of course, and you get the Karakosa healing, which is obviously really good if you're on some kind of healing build. So I totally get that. But I always think, if you play Staff, and you play full heal, you only use one weapon part, so only the water attunement. And I always am a little bit sad, because I think Staff has a lot of cool utilities. For example, the Meteor Shower is really nice if you can cast it and get a really nice Meteor Shower down and hit, I don't know, a lot of targets, yeah? I think this is really cool. In theory, if you reset your Meteor Shower, you can hit 48 targets with this. Sounds good, in my opinion. But to make it really work, you first of all have to position yourself correctly, and second of all, you have to have some damage stats. So full heal is not gonna make a difference. So I'm not sure. I think Catalyst is a little bit like you can't play it as supporty or as damagey at the same time as a Tempest. The Tempest was the perfect hybrid build. But a Catalyst, you either go have full support and go range support with water and your boons, or you go aggressive with really meteor showering all the way. I'm not sure. I think it's fine either way, but the range of the spheres is also not too... I mean, it's not bad, but it's I don't know. I think I have to test it a little bit more, to be honest. Yeah. And we unlocked another guild slot for the mission, so we can do another world versus world rank thing to get... Those are really easy in my opinion, so that's why I always try to go for them. And next week we will gonna start, after the world versus world rush is over, we go the normal PvE missions, because then we can say, okay, we do the PvE guild mission at 8 o'clock or something when everyone has time, and we just do it together, and then everyone can participate and get the guild accommodations. Because if I start this now, we will have that in 2 minutes. And I think this is not good if people want to join in. But it's good to get enough experience to level the guild up, so that's why I did it. Yeah. I mean, Viva, I think Viva is just... From a baseline design, Viva is very aggressive. You can play Viva as a probably top DPS build if you play full aggressive, but you have to position yourself perfectly. So as soon as you get caught, you're dead. And this is obviously a problem for especially new players, because you might just not be able to do that. Yeah? Maybe you fail, maybe you just miscalculate the situation. And this can be a very big problem when you want to grind and get more kills and stuff, because there it's really important that you survive all the time and help your team. And if you play really aggressive, typically you can do that if you're a really skilled player. But if you're somewhat new to the game, you might just die for it, and you should rather go a little bit more defensive, and in the end will be more successful, I guess. So let's test this build for a while, and let's see how it goes. It plays a little bit similar like the PvE build, the PvE healing build for Catalyst. I will make a build guide about it very soon, and you already asked me in Filthy Casual about it. And I think it's a really, really good build. It's not as good as it was before the patch, which is funny. It's still very good, but it's not as good as it was before. Okay, we lost this one. The reason for that is they nerfed this trait. This trait got nerfed. In PvE not so much, but still nerfed. And in PvP and World vs. World, it's really, really hard nerfed. So it's 50% only. Previously it was, I think, 150%. So yeah, it's a really, still a very good trait, but it got nerfed. And I think in PvE that makes it a little bit, you have to be a bit careful with your boons. Yeah. Yeah, Viva has also the fastest attunement swap. So if I go for Viva, I would have smaller attunement swap, but I would have always, I can show you. So I would, to get to Meteor Shower, had to go to Fire Attunement or another attunement twice. So that means that if I want to get a static field, I want to get an unsteady ground, so all the hard-hitting, really important skills on a Viva, I have to attune twice to it. And that makes it way harder to play in that circumstance, because you can't really say, okay, I react, I now go to air, because I have a delay until my weapon skill comes up that I really want to use, because the really important ones are typically the 5 skills. So that's why Viva is really hard to play, and is mostly just used for the DPS, where you can fire, where you use a lot of your AoE fields to deal a lot of damage. I think in most scenarios, if you're a new player especially, I would say Catalyst is the better option, or at least, yeah. I think it's fine. I think the balancing, you're right. I think Staff is in that sense quite balanced, especially on Viva, because it's a slow weapon, but it has a crazy good impact in World vs. World. But I hear a lot of people that are Staff fans in general, not only World vs. World, that they think the Staff is in a bad spot. And I would tend to agree, because you have some nice healing on water, you have some nice CC on air and earth, but fire damage, especially in PvE, is really bad, because you don't hit your meteor showers, you get penalized for hitting multiple times, and all your fire skills are too slow. So in PvE, you don't play an aggressive Tempest, Viva, whatever, you don't play that with a Staff. And in PvP, not at all as well. In World vs. World, yes, you can do that, but it's not because of the real skills, it's more of the AoE. So if they have so much big AoE that you use it. But I think they should rework stuff in a way that you have skills that are really dependent on what gear set you run. So if you run an aggressive gear set, in my opinion, you should be able to deal a lot of damage. On the other hand, you should also be able to make a really nice healing build with stuff. So I think it should be some kind of hybrid weapon. For example, like the Guardian Spear. That, in my opinion, should be the case. But it's quite hard to make that happen, because you saw it with the Guardian Spear. It's just getting overpowered at some point. Welcome, Galen, welcome. Another streamer mentioned DPS, Starweaver, and raids, but didn't elaborate on the build. What is it popular in the past, or is it a current build? So, in the past, there was a stuff. Not only Weaver, Tempest, all the builds with Elementalist were really broken with stuff. That was way back, years ago. And that was mostly because a lot of bosses in raids have a large hitbox, so the meteor shower was hitting 80% of the meteors, maybe 90% on the boss. And they didn't have this kind of really weird interaction that you get a damage reduction per hit. Because if you read the skill description you see here, every hit on the same target will deal 10% less damage. That ends in the end in PvE to really bad meteor hits. And that's of course really boring. You wanted to have some nice damage, and every single meteor deals 20k damage, 30k damage. And this is really crazy. Back in the day, that was the case. But then they nerfed it. And this nerf was made for PvP, World vs. World, but it also affected PvE, and then no one was running it anymore, because that was the main damage skill. So that was just the downfall of having any DPS build in PvE with a staff on Elementalist. Now it's just a utility healing build, and that's it. And I think that's okay, but I think it's sad because Elementalist doesn't have any long-ranged aggressive option. Not at all. You can run Spear, but Spear is more some kind of mid-range. It's not really long-ranged, most of the skills. Yes, some of them are 900, even 1200 range, but most of them are either not unblockable, so they have some kind of projectile attached to it, or they are just mid-range, so you have to be really close. But the staff skills would fill this niche really well, so that you could stand at 1200 range and still deal damage. But they never designed it in a way that it really makes people want to play staff as a DPS build, other than in World vs. World on Weaver and stuff. Yeah. I think it's more in World vs. World where you can just use the AoE. That's because it's playable there. In all other game modes, you can't really play it because you don't need the AoE most of the time in that sense. I like the mage feeling when I wield the staff like a Tubal makes. Daggers and sword are cool. Yeah, I think I agree. I think a lot of people like the fast-paced dagger, sword, and that kind of stuff melee focus, but there is no real mage fantasy when it comes to long-range casting, at least when it comes to DPS. You can play it in World vs. World, but that's about it, and I think even there it's not perfect. They should rework it a bit. Make one of the traits, alter it maybe you make a fire trait. That would be interesting, like you have on Necromancer, you have a trait that alters your weapon skill on Scepter. Maybe make it so that you, for example, alter your weapon skills on staff to be more aggressive and lose the defense. That would be cool, so that you can't play a hybrid build in that sense, so that you either have to go really aggressive, glass cannony, or that you go for some kind of hybrid support and you don't use the aggressive trait. That would be cool, but I'm not sure if they really want to do that. Yeah, I agree. The hammer is not everyone's favorite. That's true. It's a slow weapon for the most part, and you can't really make it work all the time. Sometimes you're just too slow to really get a lot of damage done. But that's okay. I mean, not every weapon has to play the same. I think it's actually good that the weapons, especially on Elementalist where you have so many weapon skills, feel completely different. I think that's really, really good. But like I said, I think staff is the only weapon, maybe with Scepter, that feel a little bit misplaced when it comes to what the role is. They are not completely sure about it. Maybe we should get a balance patch in the future that saves this issue or resolves it at least. Yeah, I don't know. Just my opinion. For me, it's I really like playing staff, and I'm not sure. I think Catalyst feels a little bit weird with staff, but Tempest with staff feels perfect. I think that was a really good build. Now then nerfed this important Yeah, Relic with the Alacrity, so I'm not completely sure if you still run it, but I think it's still a very worthwhile pick. Maybe I have to change some stuff with the Tempest build though, I'm not sure. Maybe I can make it work. I'm not completely sure. I think the Tempest build has to change a bit just because of you had a lot of utility and you did a lot of cleansing, but your healing and your weapon recharge is now way less because of the Alacrity. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to test a little bit more. Yeah, of course, if the overloads were not on you but also on range, that would be crazy good. But I think that would be too broken to some extent for World vs. World at least, because the overloads are really, you have to be in the enemy's face. If you can't get there, then your overloads are worthless. And I think that's a nice balance aspect. If they made it range, I think they would be too broken. I would like it, but I think it would be too broken. I'm not sure. It's always hard to say something like that because oftentimes they make changes that seem not good or broken at first, and then in the end, maybe it's not like that. So that's just my prediction that it would be too strong. Yeah, it's true. You would never overload air if you're not running with your commander currently into the enemy circ. That's true. But I think that's a nice balance because typically this skill, if you hit it in a circ, you feel the impact if you have some damage on your build. So I think it's a nice balance. I would say Tempest is in a good spot when it comes to how it's played. I'm just thinking the staff is not where I think it should be. I also think what they tried to do was that they introduced the spear. Yeah, and the spear is somewhat filling the same role when it comes to DPS as staff is. However, and this is the weird part, it has most of the attacks that it has are somewhat projectile based, and therefore you can't run it in a circ. Just baseline, because projectiles in a circ are either reflected or deflected 90% of the time, so you will not hit your hitting skills. This is the advantage of Meteor Shower, Lava Font, and maybe even Flame Burst, because they are not projectiles. You can just use them all the time and they can't get reflected. And I think they should either change spear skills, aggressive skills, to make it a little more playable in a circ, or make it so that you have more options on staff to play it aggressively. I mean, I think it's fine to implement stuff that is really strong, but you always have to think about it in an objective way and don't say, okay, that would be really cool. I'm an Elementalist main, I think that would be a really nice thing. In the end, you want to have players playing every class and not only say, okay, this class is now broken, everyone plays this. So I'm always someone that says, okay, if we have a class that is currently underperforming, you should buff it in a way that is playable but not too broken. So I'm always happy when they do that. And that's why I'm a little bit sad that they nerfed Elementalist so hard when it comes to PvE, because a lot of people now say, okay, I play another class. I think that's not the way to go. I'm not sure. So we have a question from YouTube. The mouse cursor add-on is Blish Hut, and it's called the mouse cursor. I have a video about it on YouTube, how to set it up, and it's just showing my mouse cursor, even when I click both mouse buttons, so that in the end I always know where it is. It's really helpful, I think, especially in World vs. World, but I think in Guild Wars 2 in general, because you can lose track of the mouse so easily. So, Blish Hut with the mouse cursor add-on. That's it. Okay, maybe we get a circ fight here, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, glad you like it, perfect. So I'm still not sure if I want to play a heal catalyst, because I think I'm not sure if heal catalyst is really the way to go. Tempest has so much better utilities. Maybe I go an aggressive catalyst and a defensive healer as Tempest. That would make sense maybe, I don't know. Because catalyst with the reset can be played really aggressively as well. I just have to test it. It's really hard if we don't get a fair fight here. They are just clouding and we are always just trying to sneak some kills, but not kill all of them. I got bad bias because longer time ago when I started adventures with MMOs, I played MU online, but the old one, not current one. Yeah, I played Soul Masterclass. Okay, okay. Oof. Sorry, I have to concentrate here. Maybe they are really good at clouding because we are currently feeling some hard pressure here. Yeah, I'm also a fan, especially when it comes to those big fights, that you have some really nice skills that have an impact on the fight, or at least that you can feel that you have some kind of impact and you can cover the ground and really get value out of it. But you have to also take into consideration that most of your skills have a 5 target cap. Yeah, nice. Have a 5 target cap, so you always have to be a little bit careful when it comes to how much things they really do. Yeah, because oftentimes they can't hit all of the targets and it's still AoE, yes, but if they don't hit all the targets, then it's not that worth it. I'm just saying, I think in Guild Wars 2 it's balanced rather well when it comes to AoEs. There are some classes that are way better than others, I get that. But I'm not sure. I think I'm an Elementalist fan when it comes to the skill design and just how you play it. And I think we don't get that. I think Tempest Wood Heap is so much better. I can't do anything here. Yeah, we can't get that side. At least we tried. I'm not sure. I think Elementalist and Necromancer, I'm always a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of Mesmer, but Mesmer has a big problem in World vs. World that it doesn't have that much AoE pressure. So that's why I don't play it in a Zerg typically. But you can actually play Mesmer as well, for example, with Greatsword on a Mirage, or if you play, for example, Virtuoso, those have some AoE damage as well, especially with Spear. But yeah, like, I would totally agree with you. I think Elementalist in Guild Wars 2 Necromancer is really nice. And definitely the Zerg Chronomancer got nerfed, so it's not very good as a support anymore. But I was talking about the aggressive picks like Vert and Mirage. Yeah. Another question from YouTube. Are there any add-ons that you recommend? I would recommend one add-on if you're a PvE player or some kind of you want to get better at the game. I would highly recommend getting Arc DPS, which is this add-on here that you can see here on the left and on the bottom, which tells me how much DPS I did, how much cleanses I did, how much strips I did, how much CC damage I did. This is really important for not for World vs. World that much. You can use it there as well, of course, but more for the PvE side of things. So you can see how well you are doing, how nice the boon uptime is. So you can also see here with the boon table that you can add to Arc DPS. It's really, really good. I will do a build guide, or not build guide, but a guide how to set it up in the future very soon. But I can highly recommend it. It's really, really good. And other than that, I would say if you want to go a little bit more and customize more a UI and get more stuff, for example, some map completion, fast routes, or going for those kinds of trackers here, you can use the Blish Hut. That's also really good. I already have a guide about it on my YouTube channel. So those two I would highly recommend. There are others, but you have to be careful because those two are definitely allowed, completely legal, but the other ones might not completely legal. Yeah. I'm playing World vs. World after a while, and I was going with that Zerg led by Eisenfaust and randomly turn around and see a player called Yeah, I mean, I guess oftentimes World vs. World has not that many servers anymore, so it might be quite likely that we see each other. So I'm always happy if I can get some interaction going. So, especially with my guild, of course. So I see that as well. Yeah. Thoughts on Engineer? I think Engineer in World vs. World especially is really decent still. It's a really good build. I think Scrapper is really good in Zerg still. Straight up, really good. And Holosmith as a DPS, really good. Mech is not that good, only for roaming. But other than that, I would not use it. When it comes to the other game modes, I think PvP, Holosmith is the best option. And for PvE, I would say Engineer is in a decent spot. They have a lot of builds that can be played. Most of them are actually very decent, and I would say some of them are even better. So I would definitely recommend playing Engineer in PvE if you enjoy it. just because of how much utility it can provide. I would say Engineer is in a good spot in most game modes. So yeah, I'm happy, and I think the balance patch did Engineer good. So I would say it's a you can be happy if you're Engineer fan. Yeah, for sure. Mirage is in good hands. The dots are for censored long line of words. Yeah, I mean, I would say Mirage in World vs. World and PvP is in a really, really good spot. It has not been in such a good spot in a long while, just because of the damage buffs they had, and also of the design with the power Mirage. I think this is just a broken design that you can use weapons that are baseline really strong and you have the altered dodge mechanic. I think Mirage is just really, really strong. Especially when you use it in World vs. World as a long-ranged, non-projectile attack that deals crazy amounts of AoE damage. So you play Greatsword on a Mirage with full aggressive traits and stuff, you deal a lot of damage. I think that is not really a design that is particularly good, because I think you don't really have a counterplay as the enemy Zerg. So, other than killing the Mirage, and I'm not really happy. Yeah. So currently I'm playing Elementalist, and I'm trying out some Catalyst gameplay, but I have to be honest, I'm not sure if that's better than the Tempest that I previously played in a Zerg. So, I'm not sure. When it comes to Engineer, I don't know. I think this build is fun, but it's not the best one. Yeah, maybe we can do that. Maybe let's do it on Discord and see if we can get enough people. But I think it's important that we have at least maybe 5 people to have some kind of content together if we really want to do a guild run. Because I think the problem is with all the queues, it's actually really hard if you don't say, okay, we meet at 8 o'clock or something. Because look at those queues. If you want to get to EB, let's try. Let's start it now, and I think I will not be able to get in the next half an hour. Maybe it takes even 1 hour. That's just how many people are currently enjoying this event, and it gets really, really crowded. It gets really, really hard to get to a specific map. And that's why guild events at prime time during rush events, I'm not sure if you can make it work that easily. So that's the sad part, but it would be really cool if we can get it to work. I don't know. I think I really enjoy rush events just because of how much interest is there. But if you want to organize stuff, typically it takes longer. That's the sad part. I think that's okay. I mean, that's supposed to be happening at the rush event because everyone rushes to the World vs. World maps. And you can see this game is really alive because people always say, oh, Guild Wars 2 is dying, they don't put out enough content. I would say the player base, to the most part, especially people that are enjoying World vs. World and open world content, they don't really care that much. We still have a lot of stuff to do. So you can see that always with the player attention during those rushes. There are so many of us playing. Even though we don't get any content, we still play. So I think actually Guild Wars 2 is also one of the MMOs that is nowadays, with a lot of other MMOs not doing so hot, Guild Wars 2 gets a lot of new players as well. Even though there is no real change to new player experience and stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, I have to test it a bit more to give you a really crazy good take if it's really working Catalyst or not. But I think the Tempest build that we previously used, so the hybrid Celestial Tempest build, I think is definitely still playable. But I would say you swap to a different relic. I would say relic of Rivers is not as good anymore. You just 50% nerf to it is just a lot. And I would say I would probably go Karakosa or something like that. Maybe Nios even, I don't know. So I think there are a lot of options. I think the tracker here is really cool. So this today and the next days when the event is happening, I get a lot of World vs. World ranks and kills. So that's really nice. Welcome, Verons. Welcome. Hope you had a nice day. I'm good so far. Really enjoying the event so far. Do you know if they changed how much XP you get in World vs. World? I did my Conflux last year and I got the impression that it took me more time to level up. Yeah, it depends. It depends when you play. So currently we have the World versus World event where we get 100% increased baseline increase, which leads to being a really... Okay, I can't help this guy. Oh, the emob was nasty. Okay. So during this event you get baseline 100% more. So that means you level twice as fast. Not completely true. It depends, of course, on the other events that or other boosts that you use. So in general, I would say if you want to grind only world XP and you don't care about having fun all the time, then you should only play during those times, of course. But I would say if you go with max boosters, you can still level really fast nowadays. You have the world XP booster, you have the festival gobbler, you have experience booster, ascended food, you can use the birthday booster. So there's a lot of stuff that can help you level. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I will do for sure. I think the staff healing catalyst build, I will definitely do a build guide about it for sure. Don't worry. Another question from YouTube? Maybe. Let's try to 101 here. No, maybe it's not a 101 anymore. Watching from Brazil, I'm a new player and I just played PvP for the first time and didn't get any reward points or something like that in that box. Really? So in PvP, you have to be level 20 to play ranked. Other than that, I would say you start out PvP and play unranked all the time. I made a guide just a few hours ago. I started making a guide about PvP. I will release it somewhat soon, I think at the end of the week. So I explain everything about PvP if you're a new player, how to get in there and what to look out for. But typically you get rewards and also level up. You just have to play unranked. That's the important part. Playing unranked until you reach level 20 in PvP, and you can then go to compete at ranked gameplay. So I'm not sure what happened, why you didn't get anything, but if you play unranked, and you should actually do fine. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure what happened. Yes, this rush event also increases the reward track gain by 25% baseline. So the important part here is you get 25% baseline increase when you get, for example, here experience booster gives 50% baseline increase. So it's not, in that sense, it's not giving you 125 and then another 50% of the 125. No, it's adding it up. So it will give you 25% plus 50% plus 25. So you get 100% increase with all those boosts that are currently up. So it will give you more reward track gain, but it's not like you get 5 times the amount. So it's really good. This event will last for 7 days. 7 days. And so it started 2 hours ago, I think. So you have almost 7 days left. Yeah, it's really good. I would highly recommend you to play World vs. World right now. It's really fun. And it's also a lot of nice ways, for example, to get your reward tracks. So if you're really into that, gift of battle and that kind of stuff, really easy nowadays with this event. I would say it takes you only 2 to 3 hours to get. Oh, and if that's excluding the rewards from the bonus event, because this rush event gives you a lot of instant reward tag potions. So in the end, you will get 2 full reward tracks just from playing those achievements. And that means that in the end, you get gift of battle the first 2. If you calculate it down, maybe an hour. A little bit more. If you grind really hard the achievements, it's really good. Highly recommend. Okay, so we had Filthy Casual and I had a discussion or I wanted to explain why Necromancer in PvE uses, or just in general, we have Condi Reaper in PvP uses Staff and Scepter Torch. In PvE, Condi Reaper doesn't do that. The reason for that is that on a Condi Reaper in PvE, you have completely different trait lines. So in PvP, your build is designed around using the Shroud as some kind of defensive tool with some nice addition with mobility and some nice CC. But in PvE, you use the Shroud almost all the time. So you use your weapon skills only to get some chill up, deal some nice damage, and then you swap in the Shroud again. So that's a big difference between those two Reaper playstyles. So that means that if you just use the weapon skills that deal some kind of chill, because that's the main thing why Reaper does Condi damage, because of the chill that applies bleeding, deathly chill trait. So that means that in the end, a PvE Reaper just needs to have some weapon skills that deal a lot of chill. And that's why you use Greatsword, Spear, typically. In PvP, this is not the case. You want to apply other conditions than chill as well. And therefore, you use Scepter. Scepter is really, really good on that. And Torch. The Staff is more like your utility weapon in PvP and World vs. World builds. Because the Condi transfer is good, the Fear is good, it's always long range. So this is the big difference between those builds. When it comes to Reaper, in contrast to Harbinger, the Harbinger is completely different. Even though you use Spear on both builds, so you use Power Harbinger uses Spear and Condi Reaper uses Spear in PvE. However, the Harbinger uses Spear as a power weapon, whereas the Condi Reaper uses it as a chill application weapon and doesn't really care too much about power. So this is a big difference, and that's why Power Harbinger in PvE or Power Harbinger in PvP and World vs. World uses Spear really for the Spear, for the attacks, for the lifesteal, and a Condi Reaper doesn't have any lifesteal, or just a very small amount. So you don't run blood on a Condi Reaper typically, so this is really, really important. For swords, I would say swords are very decent because of the mobility, and on a Power Reaper, for example, or Power Harbinger, they can be used really, really well, I would say. But on a Condi build, swords are typically not that good. The reason for that is that swords are nice, they have some nice vulnerability, they have nice mobility and wound corrupt, but in PvE, they don't help you not really with some Condi applications. So typically you don't run sword at all in a Condi build. So you have to stick to the old stuff that is not that mobile, but at least has some kind of Condi application. Yeah. I don't know. I think Necromancer in general has lifesteal mechanics, that's true. But I would say on a Condi build, typically the lifesteal is very limited. Whereas on a power build, you have a lot of lifesteal. So with Blood Magic and Harbinger, we have a lot of lifesteal. The Spear on a power build has some kind of lifesteal baked into it. So this is really nice. You have a question from YouTube here. How do I get into squads that need an invite? So if you need to get invited, then especially in World vs. World, typically you have to join a Discord that this squad is currently on. So I can hover over this commander and it says squad message what the Discord is. And then I can join the Discord server. And typically if the squad is locked, so if I can't join the squad because of whatever reasons, they don't want to have anyone that is not in Discord, then typically what they are doing is you join the Discord server, you don't have to speak, you just have to listen. And then you can say in stage chat, whatever, you just write, give me something that I have to say, or yeah, put out in the chat. So you asked for a password, and then the commander in Discord will tell in the voice chat, tell me a number, or tell me some kind of code phrase. And then you write this code phrase to him, whisper, map chat, whatever. Like this guy just did 5, whatever. And that means they know, okay, you just listened, you got the code phrase, and you can join this squad because you're in the Discord. So that's how it typically works. Sometimes in World vs. World, you also have guild raids. That means they don't let you in at all, just you have to be in the guild. And of course, if you're not in the guild, you can't join. And in PvE, typically you have to go through the LFG. That's it. You can't really change it too much. The PvE commanders typically use the LFG to get into it. There are, of course, also some not public, so some closed squads that only run guild groups or statics, so you can't get in there either. So I hope that answers your question. Typically in World vs. World, it's either open or you have to join the Discord and get an invite there. Yeah, so, but you can see I'm not in a squad right now. I'm just following the command and I still get everything. So it's not like it's completely necessary to be in a squad, but of course, if you want to optimize your gameplay, you would go in the squad. Let's see if I can join. No, I can't. So it's locked. So I have to go into Discord and do exactly what I just said. I have to ask for the password and then I get the password. And I can join. For me, especially when I stream, that's not good. I don't want to join the Discord because there would be voices on my ear that you either could hear or could not hear. And in the end, that would not be good because I want to talk to you guys and communicate with you and not have someone else talking in my left ear or something. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, I wonder why, because if chill apply bleed and sword and spear apply chill, you apply bleed. That, yeah. So, the thing is, on a PvE build, so not on a solo build, I'm talking about a really condi heavy PvE build. Let's look it up quickly. Give me a second. I don't want to spread misinformation what the current build is on Necromancer, because I did not play Condi Reaper that much, I have to be honest. Play more Condi Harp in that sense. So you're playing Greatsword and Spear. And the interesting part here is why you do that in a really raid scenario or some kind of strike mission where you have a lot of supports, not on a solo build. I'm not talking about solo builds, I'm just talking about the instance content builds. The reason is you're running Grieving Gear. Grieving Gear gives you measure, stat, power, and condition damage. And minor stats, it gives you precision and ferocity. So what's the difference to Viper Gear? Viper Gear gives you expertise as well. So you go full Condi on Viper, so to say, with some power backed into the kit. Grieving Gear, however, gives you, so to say, more power damage because you have ferocity in the kit, whereas you don't take any expertise, so no Condi duration. Why do you do that? Because in PvE, Condi duration is one of the most broken stats. Because if you have 100% Condi duration, which you can get on some builds, that means you just double your damage output with Condis. Baseline, yeah, if the fight is long enough. However, on a build like a Burn Firebrand or something like that, or a Reaper in that sense, if you only apply a single condition, expertise is a wasted stat. Why is that? Because expertise increases the Condi duration of every single Condi. But you can equip runes, you can use food that gives you bleeding duration only on a Reaper. So that means the only condition you want to increase is bleeding, because it's 99% of your Condi damage. And that's why you can make weapons that are power scaling and can still use them on a Grieving build, because you get value from the power weapon and they apply chill, and with the Reaper you get bleeding because of that. That means the bleeding of the weapon, of the chill of the weapon, will give you in the end still the 100% baseline increase because of the food, because of the runes, because of your traits. And that's why you don't run swords, because the power-based weapon damage of Spear and Greatsword is just better. Yeah. So that's the general idea behind this. But that does not work on every single build. For example, in PvE, you can't make that at all. PvP, rather. And World vs. World, because you can't get to 100% bleeding duration, or if you can, it doesn't really matter, because in PvP and World vs. World, you will never have Condis that long on the enemy. So typically, if you have expertise and that kind of stuff, the enemy is dead before it really matters, or they cleanse the conditions and it doesn't really matter anyway. So that's why there is a big difference which builds you run as a Condi Reaper in PvP and Condi Reaper in PvE. So I hope I made that clear, because I think this is really important to understand if you're going for some kind of that build, to understand why you run this kind of gear stats that Snowcrows recommends. Exactly. So if you have different weapons, then typically if they play a lot of different conditions, they scale with expertise way better than a weapon that only applies chill and deals a lot of power damage, because then you don't want to have a weapon that or stats that give you expertise, because the expertise would take away from your power damage, and you can get the bleeding expertise, so to say, way more easily from food, from runes that give you bleeding damage or bleeding duration. So for example, let's check. So I hope, perfect, now you understand. I think this is really important. So if you look here, bleeding duration, for example, this Rune of the Great gives you 50% bleeding duration. Yeah, that's immense. That means you get, just for picking a rune that gives you also condi damage, which you want, gives you 50% of the expertise for the only condition that you really need the expertise for. So this gives you a lot of access to more power stats that you need. That's why you run those weapons, because they scale really well with power and still apply bleeding. In PvP, you can't get expertise anyway, so that means you just stick to the weapons that apply a lot of different conditions and try to deal damage that way. Yes. I mean, it's fine. I like to explain stuff like that, and I like to explain it twice, thrice, whatever is needed so that people get it, because I think this is really important to understand how Guild Wars 2 build crafting works, because people just often copy and paste stuff and then they don't understand completely what it does, and then they don't get the results that they want to get it with it. Because the important thing is you really have to get what a build wants to do. And we talked about it last time, I think, or someone in last week or something, that, for example, on a Harbinger, yeah, on the build that I just released last week, where you run Spear as a power Harbinger in World vs. World, you run Demolisher stats. So Demolisher stats are just exactly the same like Marauder stats. However, they give you, instead of Vitality, Toughness. So you get major stats, Power and Precision, minor stats, Ferocity and Toughness. Marauder would give you the same, instead of Toughness, however, gives you Vitality. A lot of people say, oh, why not take Marauder stats on a Necromancer? Necromancer, Life Shroud, scales with Vitality. So it's typically a perfectly valid choice to go with Vitality. However, we are playing a Harbinger build. What does that mean? Harbinger scales as well, the Shroud, with Vitality. But a Harbinger soaks all the damage during it's on Shroud with the Life Force, with the normal life, with the healing of your health. And that means that your Life Shroud amount is not really that important. It's more about not getting damaged too much. Because getting damaged on a Harbinger means you lose your normal health, not your life force. So in the end, your life force is not that crazy important to have a really high amount. So typically you want to have your effective HP, your HP, to be more valuable because of the toughness. And especially on a power Harbinger, because you have a lot of lifesteal and you have a lot of healing, a lot of barrier, and therefore it makes a lot of sense to have a build that every single time you get healing, barrier, whatever, is way more valuable than if you have 30k HP and all your healing gives you a little bit, but it will also be easy to take away. If you have toughness, the healing is still the same that you would get with Vitality, but the amount of damage you take will be less. So if you get damaged for 700 with toughness, you would get damaged for 1000 with Vitality and no toughness. So that means that in the end, it might be the case that you get way more value from your healing because of the toughness. So healing and toughness scales really, really well, while Vitality and healing typically doesn't scale that well. So this is also another really important thing to understand about Necromancer or just Guild Wars 2 in general. Yeah. Yeah, I get why you would say something like that, that you want to combine your life stealing with the really nice melee damage from a sword or something. I get that, but typically that's also, you have to take into consideration how your build works, and that's just not perfectly working when it comes to PvE, perfect damage, and that's just people that do the math behind that figured that out. So, but I think in general you can still make a build like that. Don't get me wrong, but I think the most optimal one would be something different. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice that you now understand how the idea is and how it should work. Thanks for the follow, Sahin Alta. Thanks a lot. Oh. That was a lot of damage. Maybe we can get the cap here, but it looks dire actually. Question from YouTube: I have a dream to build an ascended gear set that I can use for all types of PvE, being able to have a decent Reaper, Conti DPS, Scorch Elect, and Harbinger Quickness access, or Celestial viable. I would say Celestial is a good pick for those kind of builds. It might not be the most optimal choice, but when it comes to open world PvE, maybe even fractals, it's totally fine. But when you play raids and strike missions, you have to be a bit careful. The reason for that is if you run Celestial, you have toughness. And if you have toughness, in some raid encounters, you might be the tank because of that. And you typically don't want to be the tank as a quickness harbinger, for example. So my recommendation would be to go full Viper for those sets that you already set. Conti DPS as a Reaper is the problem is Conti DPS as a Reaper, like I said, runs Grieving instead of Viper. So making one gear set, Celestial could work. I think you get to maybe 70% of the damage for all the builds. I think if you are fine with that, yes, you couldn't go for it. But optimal, I would say, is more like Viper. Going for full Viper would be on Harbinger and Scourge would be 100%, and on Conti Reaper it would be probably around 85%. So that would be my option. But you will be less tanky, but in the end you are playing PvE, and typically in PvE, if you know what you're doing, that if the enemy or the boss dies faster, it's better for you than if you go defensive and you take longer. But of course Celestial is a fine choice if you already have it. I would say you should go for Viper in the future, but currently if you're fine with Celestial, I would say that's definitely a way that you can play it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're still learning, Filthy Casual, you're still learning. That's fine. I would say I'm really happy if I can go back to the part where I understand a lot of things in Guild Wars 2 for the first time. I'm not there anymore. I just play the game and have fun, but I don't really get a lot of new aha moments. Yeah. Which is a bit sad to me. I'm always like that. Yeah. But that's just how it goes, I guess. At some point you know a lot about the game. I don't know all about the game, but I know so much that I don't have those big aha moments anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, Martin. So if you have a tank that has really high toughness, you can still play Celestial, yeah? But typically in strike mission and raids, you don't want to have a tank that has 2500 toughness. That's not necessary. So typically it's better to have the tank having lower toughness and better healing power. So you, with Celestial, would be close to the, or higher than this guy. So Celestial can work in a lot of fights, but in some fights it might make you the tank, and that's a little bit not necessary and not really good for the build that you run. So that was just my point. But I would say Viper is the best general option, yeah. But like I said, there is some kind of blood variant for Scourge that is really, really good with Celestial. You can play some kind of Celestial Reaper as well. That's really, really good as well in PvE. It might not be the meta build, but it's still very decent, yeah. Yeah, if you go 50-50 or something, then you would probably have not enough toughness. You just have to make sure that when you're in a raid, in a strike mission that is toughness based, that you ask always the tank how much toughness do you have. Just because that's on you, you're not playing in so-called meta build with only Viper, so that you make sure that you don't, yeah, fuck up the group in that sense. But I would say 50-50 is completely fine. You will probably deal quite a lot of damage and have some tankiness. that's okay, definitely. Yeah. I'm always someone that really wants to point out that if you join a group in LFG or even in some kind of organized group in a static or something like that, when you swap stuff to be different than usual, when you, for example, play something for the first time a build, always be honest. Tell them, okay, I did not do this mechanic yet. I did not play this build yet. Bear with me if I do something wrong, and ask them if they are fine with it. Because if you, for example, go full Celestial Reaper, and the tank is used to tank on a on a build that is almost no toughness, that can fuck up the whole fight. And if you don't tell it in the beginning, it's your mistake, not the tank's mistake. So I think this is really important, that you always are nice and open about what you are about to do. And if the group doesn't want that, you have to accept it as well. I think this is really important. So a lot of people say they don't like kill proofs in PvE, and I think this is a totally fair point. But if other people say they want kill proof and you join a group that asks for kill proofs and you don't have that kill proof, I think you are grieving. Yeah, this is a take that I highly value, because I think LFG has to be a place where you value the opinion of the others. And that means that if you have a different build, some kind of different approach, you have to tell them that. And if they're not happy with that, you have to build different groups. I think this is really important. Galen, what's the logic behind Cirque play? It feels like two masses colliding and one being ran over. Yes, you can see that that's exactly what is happening here. The point behind Cirque play is it's fun. And second of all, what are they doing? Typically, you have, if you go really try hard, you have some kind of role system. So like in PvE, you have some support, you have some damage dealers. But in a Cirque, you would have a different composition. It's not one support, it's more like 3 to 4 supports that you have per party. And you have 10 parties or something total. And 1 DPS or maybe 2 DPS per party. However, the supports are a little bit different. So typically you have one Firebrand that is there for giving a lot of stability. Then you have some kind of cleansing support, like a Scrapper, maybe like a Druid, maybe like a Tempest. And then you have a healing support that is really dedicated to heal a lot. So that's typically like a Vindicator or maybe a Druid. So those builds that are typically on. Of course, that does not have to be always like exactly like that, but that's just how Guild Wars 2 currently plays in World vs. World most of the time, or Scourge previously before the nerf. And if you then have two 50-person squads running into each other, you typically play like you try to have some range damage down and try to just do a little bit of damage, maybe fake a push, try to make them move towards you, try to pull them like I just got pulled, and make sure that you just use all your cooldowns that are aggressive at the same time, because then you spike the enemy circle. So the idea here is now we try to sustain, and in the last few seconds of this sustaining, when we try to deal damage to them, we try to deal damage to them at the same time, because then they can't sustain. Other than that, Cirque play is really about positioning. So if the commander moves, everyone should move with them, so that we all stack together and get all the boons, all the healing and stuff at the same time. As soon as someone is left behind, they get damaged, like you see here. And this is really important in Cirque play, that you stick close to the commander, especially when you're in the squad. I'm not in the squad, so I have to be a little bit more on my own, because I don't get all the boons that are provided in the squad. But I should still move with the squad, because then I get not easily killed off. So the logic behind this Cirque play is always being together makes you way stronger than being alone. So the only exception to this rule is when you're playing as a cloud. What is a cloud? Cloud means, for example, if you're defending an objective in World vs. World, for example, and this objective is... Oh, I got pulled again. That's mean. Nice, I got rest. And this objective is yours. So you defend the objective, and the enemy squad is really organized, like for example our squad here. And the enemy team is not as organized, but they still have a few amount of people. Then if you cloud, that means you don't stack at the same time. You spread around the enemy group. They can't really focus you down, but you can still damage them. And in the long run, typically the cloud wins if it's somewhat of an equal fight. Because the cloud is really hard to focus. And they might respawn, they might just deal damage all the time. So this is why Guild Wars 2 World vs. World tactics are actually really intricate. It's not like you only clash with each other, but it's also about the cooldown management, about how the current squad looks like, how the enemy team plays it. I think there's a lot of different things when it comes to how to play it. Clouds are not typically something that you would say is very common in Guild Wars 2 as a tactic. It's more like it just happens to be the case, because other than that, people, if there's no one organizing a squad, then people just tend to cloud. But, and that's the interesting part, even if you have, so if there would be something that would be defended, it's actually a really nice moor, I have to admit.
You're seeing things.
I think I'm dead here. No, I'm surviving. Nice, nice, nice. So, if you have an organized squad, typically the organized squad is better. However, they are pulling me consistently. It's actually crazy. So that's why you should be in a squad, because you can get stability from your teammates. If you're outside of the squad, you don't get all the wounds all the time. So clouding might be the optimal choice for really high-level gameplay. Just because if you want to defend an objective, typically standing on one spot makes you very easy to target. So if you really go for really high-end defending, which no one does in Guild Wars 2 right now, because it's more like you want to get kills and stuff. So then you might go clouding. But if you are just going for kills, you want to survive, you want to get the objective in the end by killing all the enemies, then you are better off by playing in a squad. Even better point, actually, I plan to play with the guild I joined a few days ago to actually ask their opinion. Yeah, of course, it's always important that you just consider their values as well. It's not always like they don't say what they think, but oftentimes it's really important that you just ask them, okay, I think we are dead here, actually. They have a lot of damage, it's crazy. Yeah, you can see that's actually crazy how long-lasting the fights are, even after the nerfs to the just barrier time and stuff. Yeah, I think we are dead here now. Happens. I mean, I think both tactics are totally viable. Going for cloud, going for Zerg gameplay. But in the end, I think you should always adjust your tactics to what is currently the most optimal thing to do. For sure. If I would play optimally here, I would not play this build, I would play a meta build, and I would also score in the squad. But in my opinion, having fun can in World vs. World be like this. You just run behind the squad and just try to hit them and help your squad with healing and stuff. It works perfectly fine as well. You don't have to play optimally to have fun in World vs. World. This is really important. When it comes to PvE and stuff, it's way more grieving if you play, for example, a soldier, berserker, rival warrior in a raid group as a DPS. This is way more grieving than if you play something like this in a World vs. World fight. So really important that I mentioned this as well. So don't be scared. World vs. World is really easy to get into. You just play the game mode, have a little bit of fun, and try things out, try builds out that you want to play. Don't even have to be fully, how's it called? Fully ascended gear. You can go full exotic gear, which is also totally fine. There is no problem if you go for different kind of trades and stuff. You don't have to run the meta build all the time. Yeah. I want to play the meta Chronomancer support build in World vs. World. Do I really need Minstrel? I have full ascended Harrier set. Should I chance? I mean, you can try it, but the idea in World vs. World is that you are full healer. you don't deal any damage, and you want to survive as long as you can. And that's why you run full Minstrel. But when it comes to the other game modes, typically you don't get that much damage that it's really necessary. But when it comes to World vs. World, you can see I get a lot of damage. And if you don't have the toughness and the vitality to survive that, then you are bad support. So I would say yes, you can try it, but don't get your hopes up, especially after the recent nerfs to Chronomancer in World vs. World. I would say as a Harrier build, you are not that good anymore. It's sadly the truth. They nerfed Chronomancer really hard in World vs. World. It's just not as good as it once was. Yeah, that's the sad part. So you can try a Harrier one with the meta build, with the same traits and the same utilities and that kind of stuff. But I would say you will do worse than you would expect, just because you die very fast and your support output is not as good anymore before the patch. So if you want to play an aggressive support, I would go for some kind of Celestial build. That's probably better. Yeah. Some kind of maybe... So they nerfed Celestial as well in World vs. World. It's really hard actually. I think they made it so as a support you run Minstrel, and as an aggressive player you run Marauder or Demolisher. So there is no real option for other gear sets, just because they nerfed Celestial in World vs. World. And Harrier stats, look at the Harrier stats, so let's compare. You get power. As a support build, you don't deal any damage in the end, so that doesn't matter. You get concentration and healing power. Okay, that's good, you like that. But if you look at Minstrel, Minstrel gives you healing power and concentration, that's what you like. But you also get toughness and vitality, so you survive longer. So Minstrel is the perfect stat for support in World vs. World. But if you just have the Harrier set and you don't have any other choice, of course you can go for it. Just don't expect to survive the whole fight if you are standing always in the highest damaging zone, because you have way less defensive capabilities from your gear. Yeah. You can see how much loot I actually get and how much tickets. I think I started by 300 or something. I got 200 tickets already just from playing a little bit during this event. So you get a lot of stuff. So don't miss out on that. Okay, so I wanted to run back the old Tempest build. A lot of Condi cleanses. What relic can you use? I mean, you could actually use leadership. I think leadership is a decent one, but I think the Caracosa one is probably the best. Holy shit, we have such a long queue. Crazy, crazy. I have a Reaper and a Herald too. I'm so confused. I never played World vs. World before. So I think Reaper is really, really good right now. I think Reaper might be one of the best options for World vs. World as a DPS option. So I would say Reaper you play as a Marauder build. Full Marauder would probably the meta build, and you play a Power Reaper. This is, if you like the playstyle and you have some kind of supports in your squad, this is the way to go. Herald, I'm not completely sure how the buffs or changes affected Herald. I have to wait a little bit and give some more feedback on that in the future. I can't tell you for sure yet at this point. We have another question from YouTube. Is Spectre Thief Condi build for Roman? Okay. I would say definitely. Spectre for roaming as a Condi build is very decent. Of course, you have to be aware how Spectre plays, so it's not like you are perfectly mobile as, for example, Daredevil or something like that. But typically, I would say it's definitely a good pick. Condi, Spectre, very decent. You can also play it Celestial. There are a lot of different options there. But if you play it full Condi, I would say you might be really annoying with a lot of Torment, with a lot of defense and a lot of, yeah, just good all around, yeah, utilities. I would say it's a decent pick. I wouldn't say it's the highest roaming build in my tier list, but I would put it in the upper parts for sure. So yeah, sure, go for it. I would say it's one of the more bruisery and therefore a little bit more likely to win outnumbered situations thief builds out there. If you're playing Deadeye and Daredevil, you're typically way more aggressive and you can get killed very, very fast. Power Spectre, I would say, is on the other hand, I have to be honest, I think Power Spectre, they nerfed it so much that why are you running Spectre at this point? So for me, I would say Spectre Shroud, the damage reduction is too little to make it really worthwhile to pick on a power build. Yeah, on a Condi build, you can get some defensive stats, but on a power build, you have to play Marauder maybe Demolisher, and you don't have enough defense to make it work. I would say typically you play Spectre as a Condi build, and if you want to play a power thief, you would go with Daredevil or Dead. That's my take. You can try Power Spectre, but I would say it's not as good. Yeah, it doesn't fit the role that easily, just because of what traits and what kind of stuff you have as a Spectre. But like I said, most builds in Guild Wars 2 are actually playable, so it's not like you can't play a Power Spectre. It's totally doable, but if you face, for example, a Condi Spectre or a Deadeye, you might still lose. So it's not like it's the perfect build. It's a build that is viable, but it's not as strong. Yeah, that's Filthy Casual. That's why I have actually character that assigned to World vs. World. This character only uses World vs. World. Here I only have World vs. World on this character. And then I have another character where I use all my PvE stuff. Because if I get stuck and want to play different World vs. World builds on the same class, then I often end up using different build templates and swapping around with roaming, with Zerg gameplay, maybe with a different roaming build. And I don't want to have to redo them every time, so I totally get it. That's just the reason why they made those equipment templates so attractive to buy. That's how it goes. Is Spectre for small groups a good support? I would say so, yeah. I think it's one of the harder supports to play, but it's very, very decent. Especially if you combine it with classes that can make use out of that. So typically if you have, for example, Spectre with a Harbinger roaming, it's really, really good and can be really annoying. You can also play, what else can you play? Just all the builds that need some kind of support that are still quite aggressive can work really, really well. So there are a lot of options. I would say Spectre is in a very good spot after the buffs. So you're right there, so you can definitely play it as a support. It's also used actually in Zerg gameplay when it comes to that. So yeah, it's a good build, definitely. I think the buffs helped a lot. So much loot. Yeah. Sad our commander just left. That's sad, very sad. So cheaper would be to make another character for World vs. World, make another full Ascended set or 2 for that character, but I don't have more character slots, so I still would need to buy character slots instead of the gear template. Yeah, it depends what you want to do. So if you only need one more gear set, for example, if you have currently a roaming build and you have a Zerg build on your character, or you have a PvE build and a World vs. World build, and you want to have one more roaming build or something, so one more gear template, then I would say this is the cheaper option. But in the long run, it's way more efficient to go for another character slot, because the new character slot gives you baseline 2 slots for free. You get 3 build templates and you get the whole storage and stuff, and the gear, like you said, you can easily switch around because it's Ascended. If you have Ascended gear, it can be easily swapped around. And if you at some point get Legendary gear, then you don't have that problem anymore. You can use it on every single character. So I would say in the long run, the more efficient thing to do would be to get the character slot. But you're right, in the short term, it's definitely the cheaper option to go for one gear set. Yes. So what do you think is the strongest support at the moment in World vs. World, at least? I think that's what you mean. I would say it's Firebrand. I think Firebrand support is the best support because it can provide a lot of stability. It has some nice utility. It has some nice healing. It's just a very good pick. When it comes to other game modes, I would say Chronomancer is or PvE is Chronomancer, the best support, and in PvP Staff Tempest. So we have some nice variety when it comes to which builds can be played. I have full Ascended Zerg Tempest for PvE and full Celestial Exotic for your World vs. World Tempest build. Yeah, I mean, then you will probably... Yeah, I mean, like I said, the best option for now, if you only want to have one more gear set, yes, then the option would be going for equipment templates. Currently, they are not on sale as far as I know. Yeah, they are not on sale. So it costs, I think, 400, which is okay. It's not crazy expensive, but it will get expensive if you do that for multiple years and always buy more gear templates. But I did that as well. My PvE characters have 9 equipment templates. So, yeah. Yes, Firebrand is just the perfect role. I think they will never nerf Firebrand so much that you can't play it in World vs. World. I think it's just perfect as a support because of the tomes, because of the utility it baseline can provide, because it's a guardian. So it's just a very, very good all-round kit. Yeah. And that's why I think Firebrand will always be a really good pick. Yeah. Scrapper, Druid, even Tempest, Spectre, those can be still very decent supports, but I would say just from the baseline kit, and it's not that easy, Firebrand, but from the skill ceiling, what you can do if you know what you're doing, it's the best support, I would say, for sure. And it's also typically run, if you're a commander, if you want to command, it's also typically the thing that you would use for that, because you then can completely know which kind of cooldowns your other Firebrands have up. And therefore you also know that you can use now Stand Your Ground as the whole squad, and you can run in, get enough. 1 second, let's concentrate and kill those guys. No, maybe not. The long-lasting emobs are actually really, really annoying. So I think Firebrand is a really good option if you want to go for support and want to stick with one support. I think learning it is really, really good. Yeah, I think Staff Elementalist is a very good, very underrated class in World vs. World. But I think it still needs some buffs or changes to make it really as a crazy good support. I think it's a nice clouding build. It's a nice build that can work very decently in not so organized groups. But if you have 50 players that are really organized, I wouldn't put Staff Support Tempest in there. I think it's not as good as the other supports, at least not in a squad, really high organized squad. But like I said, typically World vs. World is you just join whatever is currently happening, and that's it. There is no real, I don't know, meta that you have to play, otherwise you don't succeed. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's fine. World vs. World, you play what you like, and in the end you will probably still succeed and have fun. And I would say after the nerfs with the dagger, or with just the dagger nerfs as well to Elementalist, and the Warhorn changes, I think Warhorn Tempest is also a little bit weaker than it used to be before, with how Staff, or how the... I'm not sure. I think Elementalist as a support is probably not the best support. It's a very good support, but it's not as good as Scrapper and Firebrand for sure. Maybe even Vindicator, I'm not completely sure. We have to get more tests there. I'm not completely sure about that. But play what you enjoy. I think it's really important. But don't expect to have the biggest impact if you're not playing a meta build. And also, even if you're playing meta build in 50 versus 50 fights, as a single player, you don't have that high impact typically. which is fine. You don't always have to have the highest impact, you just have to have fun. And of course, oftentimes it is more fun to succeed, but sometimes it's also okay if you lose and had fun with playing the build that you enjoy. So yeah, I have to be honest, I think the nerf to the River's Relic was a good change. I think the River's Relic should never have existed in the first place. I think they should better buff the DPS of Staff, and we would be happy with some kind of aggressive Staff build that also has some nice support baked in. I think the relic of choice on a Staff should be Caracosa, just because Caracosa is a balanced relic. You have a lot of blast finishers to make use out of the healing, but the healing is only for your allies, not for you. So it's a balanced relic in that sense. The River's Relic is not balanced because it gives you still alacrity, and alacrity applies to all your skills, and therefore you can use all your skills more often, the aggressive and the defensive ones. It's just broken by design. And I think the support element of Staff is actually okay. I think the bigger problem that Elementalist has is that if you don't run Tempest, you can't really play support. At least in competitive modes, because the utility skills are just very, very bad. So I think they should just change some utility skills to be more playable. Because if you look at Elementalist utility skills, most of them are not playable as a support, which is a big problem. I think Staff in general as a support is decent. You can see that in PvP. They have so many cool utility skills on the Staff set. So you have some nice healing, you have some nice, how is it called? Static field, you have a lot of cool skills that help you and your team. So typically Staff is in a good spot when it comes to support, but the problem are more that the traits and the stuff is not really that crazy important. I agree, there could be more boons baked into it, but that's just the power creep of the game currently, that all supports have to have not only healing but also boons and all that stuff. I would say they could buff some of the Staff skills, but like I said, I think they should make it somewhat of an... You have to decide if you want to play aggressive or defensive. I think you should not have the baseline support baked into the kit, because that would just make a broken weapon. Like, for example, Spear on Guardian is. And I think that's not how we want it. That's why they nerfed Spear a lot. In World vs. World especially, with the hits and that kind of stuff, with the lances. So typically I would say better have some kind of trait that gives you some aggressive tools or some defensive tools like boons on the Staff. I think that would be a better option. Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, you could have some nice interactions. Why not? I'm not sure. You could make, for example, a trait in Earth or Water that gives you, when you combo when you do a blast finisher, gives you AoE around the blast finisher, some protection or something. Something that alters how you play this build and is particularly good with Staff. I think that would be more interesting than just giving your Staff skills some kind of boons, because that would just make it broken. I think it's always better to have something that is interesting and you can counterplay it as the enemy, than playing something that is just broken baseline because of the baseline utility of the boons and the damage. I think that's... And you have stability on Staff. You have a lot of stability actually on Staff. If you transmute your magnetic aura, so use it again, it gives actually stability around you. So Staff is the only stability providing weapon on Elementalist. So it's really, really good. So I think that's true. I think the 4 skill is really good. The 5 skill, yeah, it's not unblockable, so it can actually get reflected, so that's not that good. And the 2 skill is just... Maybe the 2 skill can, if it combos with the blast finisher, gives you stability. That could make things okay. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. But I would agree that Staff, when it comes to boons, is not that crazy good. It is more about area denial with the 4 skill, with the 5 skill, with the knockback. I think that's fine. You don't have to have every single support weapon has to be crazy broken when it comes to all the boons output. Yeah. The stub is actually sharing. The stability is also to your allies. Number of targets, 5. You get it to give it to this guy as well. That's why it's used in PvP as well. It's really, really good. It's not that high range. I think it's 360, so you have to be quite close. But it is AoE. It's really important. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this map. What do we have here? No, it's fine, it's fine. I think it's important that you understand your build, and if something slipped you, that's completely fine. I'm happy to tell you then. I think it's just important that you are open. If someone tries to teach you something, that you listen to it. I think especially when it comes to PvE and mechanics in Guild Wars 2, there are so many intricacies that you might not know about. Don't say I played this game for 2,000 hours and I know about everything about it. I think it's more important that you are open and try to learn something. I think that's really good. I always try to be open because I don't know everything about the game, even though I played it a lot. Yeah, exactly. So you don't need, that's the interesting part about the transmute. So so you have as Elementalist, you have on Dagger, you have the Shocking Aura, where you can transmute it. You have the Frost Aura on your Dagger offhand, where you can transmute it. You have on Staff the the Magnetic Aura, and you have on Focus the Fire Aura. So you have every single aura that you can get from the traits that you can transmute, and you have to have the aura. You sacrifice the aura by transmuting it, but the allies will get the boon around you if it's a boon, and the allies will not lose the aura if they have it. So if you're sharing the aura with water, they will not lose it. They will get the boon, the benefit, but you will lose the aura only. So it's really nice, and you don't even have to share the aura. You can also just give the aura to yourself, transmute it, and have the effect to the allies. So it's really, really good. That's what makes Elementalist a really good support. If they go on me, I have to be a bit careful here because I'm in a weird spot here. I just wanted to get some text to help my team. No. Okay, maybe I can knock this guy down. Let's try. Close. Close, almost got it. I mean, they are playing a roaming build and I'm not. That's a problem. Okay, I guess I'll just leave. Okay, let's go to the commander. I don't want to fight a roaming build on us. Support Staff Tempest. That's not fun. At least not to me. Okay, maybe we can defend this. Let's see how many we are here. I'm not sure. Not that many. But looks like a guild group, so maybe don't underestimate guild groups. So if they have 10 people in a squad, maybe 15, if you are a good team, you can actually fight groups that are double the size of your squad. So don't underestimate those. So it's really, really good to some extent. Okay. They will probably wait until they engage. Let's see. We can make that work. So really important on a Staff Tempest, I would say, is always transmute your aura when you are close to your allies. Try not to transmute it all the time, because like I said, the range is really, really small. So that means if I stand here, if I stand here, this guy will not get the transmute. You really have to stand like here, and it has to be at the end. It's really annoying. It takes a while. So I can show that to you. This skill is actually really good, but you have to play it correctly. So I get my aura, I use it, and it takes a while. So you don't, even after the cast, it takes a while until you get the stability. And that's really annoying. Sometimes you get CC'd even though you used it before, because of there's a maybe half a second delay before you get stability. So it's really important that you know this and that you also stand really close when you are about to finish the cast, because then you apply the stability in maybe 250 to 500 milliseconds. So that's quite important. Okay, I guess we are about to engage the fight. Let's see how it goes. If you have any questions as a new player, as a veteran, I'm really happy to answer them. Please let me know. And I try to give you a lot of feedback as well. Okay, so looks good so far. We go back in. Got a kill here. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, we got another. Always go on the backline if you have enough damage to kill the backline. The backline is really easy to target because they probably don't have stability, or at least not as much. Okay, I had to use a lot of utility skills here. That's not good. That's why you should be in the squad, of course. Try to get CC skills on the backline always, like static field, like unstable ground and that kind of stuff. I was also really surprised that ArenaNet doesn't give any new news and stuff about anything, which is crazy. I think they should have at least given us some things about the new patch that will come up next, when is it? Next month? Early next month. So I'm actually really surprised that we didn't get a new trailer or something, at least at some point. The emob is always killing me. It's actually insane. Yeah, so I really hope that there will be news. If it's not about the upcoming balance patch, maybe it's about the expansion that it will come up later this year. I think they should definitely give us more insight in what they are currently doing. So for example, I would also of course like to know if they're really working on another project, maybe like another game, maybe even Guild Wars 3. I would be really happy if they gave us some news, some kind of confirmation about that, but I really doubt that they will do that in the next months. But I really hope they will, because I think there's so much, I don't know, so little what they put out and so much confusion what they are currently doing and why they are delaying patches so much. Why do they have so many people employed if there is nothing new on the horizon regarding Guild Wars 2? So I really hope that they give us more information. I'm, as a content creator, I'm always happy if they give us news. But even if you're not a content creator, I think it makes a lot of sense if you want to know how the game is doing and that the game is not dead from a development point of view. Of course, a lot of people are playing it. There are a lot of people that also invest money in it. If you see the latest quarterly sales of ArenaNet and NCSoft, they actually have made a lot of profit when it comes to the game. So it's definitely not dead. It's one of the better months that they had, or better year parts. So there's that definitely. But I would like to know that the game will be developed further in the future and not only be something that is in the backline until we know in 2 years that they will really give us another game. I'm not sure. I think it's really important that you as a player get some information regarding this. Oh, they are really getting us here, I think. I mean, they're holding really well. Crazy that we get kills here. We are only 15 versus 25 at least. You can see a guild group that stands together. You can actually kill really organized group. I'm dead. I thought I had the rally and could glide down, but I did not. That's sad. Okay, I have to walk there. Nice, we defended it. No, we did not. They got it. Too bad. They actually got our keep. So how far am I with the achievements? Just out of interest. So almost 71% already. That's good. I just played a little bit. Got almost 10 World versus World ranks, so it's nice. Good progress for sure. So highly can recommend to play this. Currently World vs. World gives a lot of experience and stuff and reward track gain, but you also, and that's probably the more important part, you have a lot of players playing it currently, so it's really fun as well. And I think it's one of the most important things about World vs. World is that if there's enough action ongoing, then it's way more interesting, at least for me as a Zerg gameplay enjoyer. If you have no one playing, then it's quite boring. You only can roam and that's about it. And even then you have to have some people that at least make it interesting one-on-ones, maybe outnumbered situations. But Zerg gameplay, you need a lot of people, and that's what currently is ongoing. Look at this, 50 people almost queuing on EB. So there is something going on right now. Okay, where's the Zerg going this time? There we go. There's the Zerg. Okay. Like you see here, that's a guild raid, so I can't join at all. No way to join there. But I can run with them. At least until I get to EB in about 10 hours or something. With a queue of 50, but at least I can try. So are you playing World vs. World, or are you not playing because you don't like it or you don't get in? Because I think even if you did not play World vs. World before, I think you should try it. Right now it's the best time to get it. And maybe you enjoy it. Don't waste the opportunity to give it a try. I think it's really nice. It's a really cool game mode. And especially now, you get a lot of stuff going for it as well and a lot of people in there. So I would highly recommend to do that. Especially if you're a new player and have not played it before. I think now is the best time to start out. Even if you're only exotic gear, doesn't matter. Just get in, play a little bit, have fun. Do it like me, follow around a squad. And I don't know, you will get some fights and have fun. So where's the enemy team? There they are. No. Interesting. Yeah, guild raids are a little bit not that nice to follow because oftentimes you don't know what they are doing, what they are planning. Apparently they want to ambush them, I guess. I mean, there are quite a lot there, at least 30, I would say. Ooh, let's see if we can make that work. I mean, I want to kill the backline here, I guess. Nice, we got at least one. I mean, we will probably just go back in the tower here. Okay. I mean, it was not as successful as we probably wanted it to be, but I don't know. Better than not giving it a try, I guess. I don't know. Every single map has a queue, so it's interesting that we don't have enough people in to fight those, because, like always, this is fair. We get the same amount of people per map as the enemy. So I'm not completely sure why we can't fight them here. Yeah, I think that's the group died. Yeah, sad. Too bad. Yeah, so what I was saying is, even if you're a new player and don't know anything about World vs. World, it's really good to just try it out. Yeah, because the rewards are very decent. Don't underestimate the rewards. And it's also very fun. And it's actually quite new player friendly. You can just go in, have some fun with whatever build you have, and just try it out. And there is nothing that you can do wrong in that sense. It's not about rating that you lose or anything. You can just play and have fun. So give it a try. Question from YouTube. I just started to play World vs. World for Legendary Armor 2 weeks ago, but I lack so many tickets. Yeah, so when it comes to the Legendary Armor, if you want to get the armor in World vs. World, if you go for all the chests that you can get, so the maximum chest would be the diamond one, you need around 18 weeks, 19 weeks. And that's including the weekly stuff where you get tickets as well. And of course, you can get a little bit more of those tickets for playing defense events. So you can see in 2 minutes, I will get the defense event achievement, so to say. And this will give me one ticket or something like that. So you can speed it up just by playing more, but it takes forever. It's a really long time gate, and it's one of the longest ones when it comes to legendary armors. But you will get there in the end, so just take your time. If you play PvP, you can go for PvP as well. It's a little bit faster. If you play raids, you can play raids as well. If you play open world, you can play open world. So, but you probably know about this already. But my tip here is, if you play all the game modes that are interesting to you at the same time, you can actually get specific armor pieces. For example, one armor piece from World vs. World, one armor piece from open world PvE. You can get one from PvP, and then you have 3 in the time that you normally would only get 1 if you go for only one part of the legendary, like for example the World vs. World one. So you can get the time gates in tandem. But of course that only works if you play all the game modes, or at least some of them. So in my opinion, I would highly recommend to play multiple game modes, not only for the legendary armor, but also for the fun, for more variety. But of course that only makes sense if you also enjoy the game modes. If you don't like the game modes, if you just like one particular one, for example only World vs. World, that's completely fine. Just saying, to optimize, oftentimes it's better to play every single game. You actually get the kills here, or at least some of them. You see, I got the overload through, and now I did actually do some decent damage, but I'm more support, so staff is really good here. We actually we can win this. We can win this. Nice, we got them. Easy defense, easy defense. You will see now in 14 seconds I get some more tickets just for defending this. And so you can, if you play 24/7 for example, World vs. World, you get a lot of tickets from all those defense events, especially during the World vs. World rush. And you see some more stuff that gives you also sometimes some tickets, depending on what kind of tier this is. It gives you tickets, sometimes it gives different things, so it's really important. If you don't like PvP, it's totally fine, you don't have to play it, but like I said, if you like World vs. World, it's just the longest time gate that you have. If you play PvE, for example, play some rifts or play even some raids, you can get another piece of the armor. So for example, the chest, you go for PvE, and the boots, you go from the World vs. World one, and in the end you will end up with 2 pieces instead of 1 at the same time. So that is the faster way to do it. Just saying. Sure. So between Legendary ad infinitum from Fractal or Conflux from World vs. World, what you would suggest make first? That's a tough choice. I would say nowadays it's really, really easy to get the Legendary Ascended back pieces. I mean, not Legendary, but Ascended. So I would go for the ad infinitum, because it looks also quite cool. But I think both of them have some kind of time gate. So I would do both of them in tandem and only spend the gold that you currently have on the first one, and then as soon as you have it, go for the next one. I would say I would go for ad infinitum first, I guess. But nah, maybe, it doesn't really matter. Go for whatever you like. I think both of them are totally fine. I think this is really important. I'm not sure. I think this is... I think Ascended back pieces are quite easy to get. So it's not like you really need to grind that hard to get them. So that's why I would go for Conflux. But at the same time, I would say the back looks really cool. So if you want to have the look, you can actually go for that one first. I don't know. I think it's highly subjective. It does not make big difference in my opinion. In the end, you will probably want to get both. Ah, you managed the gold part, yeah, then you're fine. Then I would say then it's just some time gate, and you should try to get most of them in the same time as you can do, as fast as possible. Because if it's only the time gate or the account bound stuff, I would say you can do both of them at the same time if you like them. I think there's nothing that keeps you from doing one or the other. So in the end, you would probably go for both. I think it's very clear. I think going for full legendary is a goal of a lot of people. So have fun with your dog and your walk. See you next time, I guess, then. So it's sad to hear. On YouTube we have someone that don't likes this World vs. World rush. That's sad to hear. I think those rush events are always cool, and I like to have more people that enjoy them. But of course, if you don't like it, you don't have to play it. I think it's not very important to play it. It's just if you enjoy it, you get even more loot from them. So I guess perfect for those people that like it, and not that perfect for people that don't like it. I guess that's my gist of it. But I don't know. I think rush events, even though if you don't like a particular one, like the World vs. World one or PvP one, I think the rush events in general are really, really good, because we want to have people engaging in content that is already there. And I don't know. I agree, the queue is horrible. That's a big problem. That if you can't get on the map, it takes forever. Yeah, I get that. But you can play the World vs. World event also to other times, so you don't have to play prime time if you don't want to have the queues. Of course, if you can only play at this time, then it's a little bit sad. But I would say you can still wait a bit and play something different, because you can be in a queue when you, for example, do map exploration in PvE or something. But I totally get that point. I think this is a big problem of those rush events, because a lot of people are engaging with them and then you have big queues. But don't worry, I think over the course of the next few days this will decrease, because people engage now because it's very, very new and everyone wants to get those bonus event achievements. But as soon as people got those and it's getting a little bit more normal again, then it will go down for sure. So don't worry about the queues. I think the queues will fix itself in the future. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really humble goal to go for legendaries of every single different game mode, because in the end, this will also, in my opinion, lead to more fun or more enjoyment out of the game. Because I think if you only go for one game mode, typically you burn out at some point, because Guild Wars 2, especially PvE, can't deliver enough content for you at some point. So if you're playing a lot of Guild Wars 2, you have a lot of content ahead of you if you're a new player. But at some point you will come to the conclusion that there are always the same amount of gameplay repetitive loops that you are doing. So You will do fractals, you will do some raids, you will maybe do some map exploration, but at some point you will do the same stuff for the 100th time, for the 200th time, and you don't get too much new stuff. And then that's the point where I say, okay, now I swap to a different game mode and I play some PvP, or I play some World vs. World. And then at some point I say, okay, now I don't enjoy PvP so much. There were some toxic people, I don't want to engage with them, or I lost 5 games in a row, it's not that fun anymore. And I play something different. I go to World vs. World then. So Guild Wars 2 is like 4 different games or something in one game. So I switch those games all the time, and that's why I'm still interested in the game. And I have to be honest, there were times in my 12 years or something that I played Guild Wars 2 where I played not at all. Where I said, okay, currently Guild Wars 2 is not interesting to me. And it's totally fine. You can play for months, maybe even for years, and stop playing Guild Wars 2. And if you come back, there will be no new gear that you need to get. So you can get new legendaries, new skins and stuff, but you don't have to grind new gear. You can instantly go back to the content that you did before, maybe change your build, but you don't have to grind new best in slot gear. So this is really, really cool, and definitely a very big plus of Guild Wars 2. So I think that's the only way you can play Guild Wars 2 long term, is to play either a lot of different game modes or playing it very casually and having a lot of fun and just playing it whenever you play it. And don't really go and say, okay, I play Guild Wars 2 3 hours a day only raiding, because then you will burn out. That's just gonna happen. There is no one that does that anymore in the game, because it's just not happening with new content and stuff that you get. That's just how it is. That's the sad part. But like I said, there are so many options how to play the game that in the end, in my opinion, you have quite enough content to actually play the game 24/7 if you really wanted to. I noticed this now when I'm creating content about the game. There are a lot of people that join Guild Wars 2 and have a lot of questions about the game, and I have so much knowledge just by playing the game all the time, and I'm not even close to knowing everything about the game, but just from playing all the game modes, you get so much different experiences, so much fun, that, I don't know, I think you should try to enjoy different parts of the game, different classes, different playstyles, to have even more fun than usual. I don't know, that's just my take, but I can highly recommend you to do that. Okay, we have to be careful here because we killed the Lord now and they can now cap the thing here. Yeah, sure. Thanks for joining the stream, and hope to see you tomorrow or later today then. Thanks for joining, Filthy. Okay, we got some nice kills here. Very good, very good. 3-way fight in their keep. Perfect, that's what we like. Maybe we can get them. Let's see. Would be amazing if we get the keep here. Actually, we got it. Nice. Now we get the defense event as well. That's always the best if you get the keep and can get the kills after that. Okay, now I got all the chests that I mentioned previously, where you get almost 2 reward tracks. I get now 2 reward tracks just almost at the same time, and just because of all the liquid potions that you get. A lot of loot. So it's highly rewarding, the World vs. World rush. You can see that. How much? Yeah, I'm done now. So it took me about 1.5 hours to complete all of that just by playing the game. I did not even go try hard, I just played it and had fun. Now I got around 15 ranks or something to get all of them. And there we go, also completed. It's actually so rewarding, it's crazy. So highly recommend you to do it. And it's also really fun, like I said. I think it's, even for new player, don't have to understand anything. You just play and try to hit a lot of enemies or just support your allies. There's a lot of different stuff that you can do. Are they coming back? No, I don't think so. Yeah, really good. Really good. Yeah, I got 3 of those end reward tracks, so I got 3 times Mystic Clovers. Really, really good. 6 Mystic Clovers for the stuff. Really good. Finished it on 2 accounts in 30 minutes this time. 1 quick castle capture. Yeah, if you get on EB, when there is no... We have currently 50 Q or something, so it's really hard to get there. But if you get on EB, you get it in a few... maybe half an hour, like you say. It's really, really good. It's so easy to get and gives you so much rewards, so highly recommend doing it. It's really fun as well. And if you want tickets, for example, I got almost 400 tickets, 350 or something. It's really, really good. Where do you get that info about World vs. World Rush? So they have a website, their own website has some news, and there's also a calendar where you see that. But it's also in the game. You can see that on the bonus events here. There's always, when there's a bonus events tab, then this is currently active. You can see that. You also get the in-game mail, where you see, for example, blah blah blah, and then you can talk to this guy and it will show you, this time it's a World vs. World Rush. So this is also happening, and typically I try to make some kind of post or video about it, so you should be informed. I posted it to someone today, I think in the afternoon I posted it today, so that you would notice it before it starts, so that you can play the next few days a lot of World vs. World if you know that. Yeah, so typically I would say the short answer is check their website, or also just try to check my YouTube channel where I post stuff, and I try to keep you updated as well. But typically you see it also in game. It will also pop up here in the top right hand corner at some point that there is the current World vs. World thing ongoing. So they actually are quite vocal about it, I would say. It's not very secretive. You typically get it. It's just that it came out 3 hours ago, so you might not have noticed yet. But you would probably have noticed anyway at some point. But now you know anyway, I told you. So I personally just do it for, of course, the tickets and stuff, but I don't really care about getting any rewards. For me, it's more like I want to get more World vs. World ranks. I have the end goal to get 10k God of World vs. World at some point. I did not play World vs. World too much yet over the last 10 years maybe, but I still want to get the goal at some point. Will take me years, I guess, but if I continue with the current pace, maybe I will get it at some point before the game shuts down or something, or I completely quit, I don't know. So those rushes helps a lot, you know, and this is a little bit behind, but around 15 ranks in 1.5 hours seems decent. Especially if you're on an EB, you get a lot of stuff as well, just for defending the castle and attacking the castle. So a lot of cool things that you get from this rush event. If you can get on the map. Like I said, I'm queuing for almost half an hour now for EB, and I'm still not halfway through. So it takes a while to get there, yeah, definitely. But if you know that this will happen with the queues, you typically can start early and log in and just wait until the queue pops. It helps often as well. Just wanted to mention that. So, and the queues will go down over time. So tomorrow it will be less, and day after that it will be even less. And so at some point, especially on the weekend, you will probably not have the highest amount of queues anymore. And people are almost done with all the achievements or not interested in World vs. World anymore. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's very common. It's just because of the restructuring, you have way more active people on the same server, and therefore people tend to play when there's a rush event, and people tend to go to any map where they can go to, and then we have queues. I think that's a good sign. That keeps the game alive. But I can totally get why it's annoying if you want to play World vs. World right now, that you can't go there. But like I said, if you're a little bit patient, especially if the queue is only around 10, you should get in the next 15 minutes or so. So just be patient and you will get in. And I think it's better to have a queue on a map than not having any players at all, because that's also boring for an open world PvP game mode like World vs. World. Okay, now we engage. Let's see. That was a weird bubble. Okay, now they come. Okay. Try to get some healing here. I'm not in the squad, so I can't stay on them because I will get killed instantly just from the whole not having stability and stuff. But apparently my team is doing decent. I mean, both teams got kills, but I think our guild group here is still standing strong. Okay, they do a repush. Interesting. I think we can kill them now when we push in. Okay, it's like no one wants to go in the other team because that might lead to the death of the group. Let's see. I think we can fight them now. We have equal numbers. And we're fighting in front of our spawn, which is always happy. Really good for us. I think our commander should just push in at some point. Okay. It's like they are running around each other, so no one wants to go in. Got another few round of kills. Yeah, I guess that's it. Now we have them. Okay. Took a while, but at the end we got them. You can still see that the damage in World vs. World, if you have some organized squads, is actually still very low. In that sense, we have still a lot of sustain in the enemy team as well. So I'm not sure. I think they should have gone harder with that kind of barrier nerf and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the follow, Atzink. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, we won in the end. So good job here, everyone. But I think it could have gone either way, but we had the advantage that if someone died from our team, we could easily get the respawn and kill them. They had a little bit longer way, so hopefully they come back and we can try it again, because it was actually quite fun. Nice fight, and I could also commentate it a bit. And yeah, maybe we can get some more kills before we get to EB at some point. I'm not sure if we will get there today, or maybe it needs to tomorrow, because the queue is progressing so slowly. But I mean, I'm quite happy here, so it's fine. I don't know. I think the rush event is quite nice, but the queues can be really annoying, I have to be honest. Okay. So where are we going, Commander? Apparently to their spawn this time, to make it a little bit more challenging, I guess. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So many loot bags, it's actually crazy, and almost never get my inventory this full, I have to be honest. Maybe I should increase it at some point. But if you clean your inventory, I think there's no need to go for a bigger inventory than 200 slots. Even that, it's not necessary. So if you're a new player, don't worry, you can clean out your inventory so much that in the end you might not need even 200 slots. So don't worry, I think be sure to check out my inventory managing guide on YouTube as well if you need more info on that. You can see my inventory now is way cleaner just from doing all the cleanup here. And it didn't take that long. Of course, I'm a veteran and I know what I'm doing, but even in the beginning, if you know slightly what kind of items are valuable and what are not, it's decently fast. And especially with the unidentified gear and stuff, you can get a lot of easy cleanup just because it's not really that important that you open all the stuff, you can collect them, and you get a lot of unidentified gear that you can then sell on the TP. So not a big deal. So we have almost all the rush achievements. That's good. And I'm almost done with the weekly already on Tuesday. That's also good. So you can see World vs. World is very alive. Guild Wars 2 is not a dead game, not at all. So if you are new here, Guild Wars 2 is very much alive. Sadly, the content creation scene is maybe not that alive, but I'm trying my best to change that. So I don't know. Let's see if I can make a difference and get some more new people getting into different game modes, maybe getting even in the game. Try my best. If you have any video ideas, video topics that you want to see, or stream ideas, let me know. I'm always open for that, because I think it's very important that I also ask you for your opinion, for your feedback. It's very close to my heart what kind of topics you want to get, and I want to hear your voice there. Please let me know if you have any suggestions there. Nice, we got the tower as well. Very nice. Yeah, very good. Sadly, the blue circle is not coming back, apparently, so we can't find them again. So maybe we just go for some camps then, or maybe we go for the green bay. That's also good. But typically I really like fighting in a big squad. That's really nice. Get a lot of kills that way and maybe some interesting fights. Ah, there they are, maybe. Some of them at least. I don't know, maybe we can get some of them, but it's not the whole circle, I don't know. Yeah, glad that you enjoy my content. I'm always happy if I hear positive feedback. Because I really think it's in the last few months, if I just look from outside as a content creator on Guild Wars 2 content creation and all the people that typically created content and just how many there still are, it's actually not that big. Especially when it comes to guides for new players, there are not a lot of people that actually engage with Guild Wars 2 at all on YouTube, on Twitch. It feels like if you just look at how many people are creating content for Guild Wars 2, it feels like the game is completely dead. But you can see just by the numbers that ArenaNet put out regarding how much money they made, it's not even close to true. It's one of the best quarters in the last 3-4 years. So it's not dead at all. But it's just the content creation scene, especially on Twitch and even more so on YouTube, is just not alive. There are not a lot of people that actually make a lot of content created videos or topics or podcasts or whatever. I think not a lot of people actually put out content, and I really try to change that, of course, but I'm just a single person. I try my best, but I can't expect to change that overnight as a single human. But like I said, I'm trying my best, and I hope that in the future, especially if ANET puts out more news, more announcements, maybe even more content with the new expansion and that kind of stuff, that people will come back and will stay around for longer, for sure. I really hope that. Because if they don't, I'm not sure if the game will stay alive forever, because people are necessary to promote the game as well, not only just play the game, but you also have to have people that are promoting the game on Twitch, on YouTube, on all the content creation websites. So I really hope that ArenaNet at least tries to do some marketing in that sense and makes it a little bit more attractive to do content creation for that game. I don't know. I'm also trying to go for ArenaNet partner, because I produce a lot of Guild Wars 2 content. Hopefully they see that and I get the partner, because then I can give some nice gem giveaways and stuff. And more importantly, I get also access to spectating PvP tournaments. That's really cool. So I can then spectate live the matches that are happening, which is, I think, a really cool benefit being a partner then, because then I can not only give you build guides, but I can also showcase how people rotate that are really high level. I can show you team comps and talk about what is happening. I think that's really important, gives you way more insight than just showing you my mediocre PvP gameplay and explaining the build. I can also show you some high-level comp gameplay and that kind of stuff. I think that would be really cool. Let's see if I can get it. I really hope so, but currently I did not get any response yet. Have you done any in-depth Fractal CM guides yet? Some people might like that. So I have done some of them. I think I actually did half of the CMs already. And I tried to make them really in-depth, really detailed. But sadly, the amount of people that engaged with that is quite low. I tried my best to make them really detailed and really explain every mechanic, but people typically rather would have tell me every single thing that is necessary to do, not all the things that are in there. So I might redo them and make them a little bit more fast-paced, more concise, and a little bit more pug-friendly. So typically people don't care what 10 attacks the boss does. People just tend to care, okay, break the break bar at this amount of time and deal damage when the boss is there. So I'm not sure if this is the better way. I think knowing everything about a Fractal CM is, in the long run, the better solution for a new player. But if people want to have a more concise version that is a little bit not dumbed down, but a little bit more easy to understand, maybe that is the way to go. I try to, especially on my streams, to explain the Fractal CMs because I do them very regularly there, and just try to explain what I'm doing, playing DPS, playing quick DPS, playing alacrity heal, whatever. I try to explain every single mechanic that I'm doing. So if you're really interested in the CMs and give some feedback on that stuff, typically just join my stream. Not during this rush event, but typically I will do that all the time on my stream, the Fractals. You can also watch the VODs on YouTube. And I will also answer questions, of course. So typically I try to explain stuff on my stream as well. So I think that might be a better option for a lot of people. But I think the problem is that the amount that what you just mentioned, I think a lot of people play Fractals only for the daily T4 Fractals. I think this is the biggest amount of people that are playing just this. So I would say maybe 90% of the Fractal players, maybe even more, are playing T4s. And that's it. I think there are only a very small fraction of people that are really going for all the CMs and really liking all that content as well. And that's why the videos typically are not doing that great, because people are not that interested when it comes to really try hard, or not really, but somewhat try hard PvE content. People are not, Guild Wars 2 is not really the game for that kind of stuff. People that play that kind of stuff typically are in Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft. So this is the sad truth. So I'm not sure if I will really do guides about it if they only get 100 views. I put a lot of effort on this. It takes me hours to do, and then I get 100 views. That feels really like, I don't know, very sad thing, you know. I'm a content creator. I like to put effort and give you feedback and some nice helpful content. But if people just, for example, say in my face, no, we don't want that content, by not clicking on the video, then I feel really sad. So that's why I'm not sure if I really will want to do all the Fractal CMs in a new series, because I have some of them already. I'm not sure. So sorry if that's not the answer that you want to hear. But yeah, I think it's just the player base is not that interested in that amount of content anymore. Which is sad, but that's just how it goes, I guess. Guild Wars 2 is after all some kind of casual game. It's not made for really hardcore people. You can play it hardcore, but it's not typically that you are incentivized to do so. It's more like you just play it casually, have some fun in open world or world versus world. And if you want to play some instant content, you can. But it's not really like you have to do CMs to get the most important gear or the best gear. So, I don't know. It's really tough to make content for all those types of players and still have enough time to make content for the other type of players as well. So I try my best, but just saying I can't satisfy everyone. It's the sad truth. But if you have any questions specifically, please let me know. I can of course also answer them here on the chat in the stream, or I can also try to get a CM training going. We tried that last week, but we did not, or this week we did not have enough people to do so. So if you are interested in that, be sure to join my Discord in the description, where we organize that kind of stuff as well. I do raid trainings very frequently, but I also try to do fractal trainings, but like I said, the amount of people that are interested in that is actually lower than in raids, so yeah. Let's see if we can make it happen. So where are we going? What are we doing here? Just swimming through. Oh, we can go to EB. That's interesting. Let's go. Let's see if there's something going on. Only took about 50 minutes or something, maybe longer, to get to EB. Let's check out if there's something going on. Is there a big guide for commanders somewhere out there? Maybe a document with guidelines to copy paste or something similar? So I was planning on doing a commander guide for PvE, how to set up your squad, but you're specifically talking about squad commands and stuff like that, yeah? Which is, I think there are no real resources about which kind of stuff you have to post and that kind, but you can ask some, I mean, it depends on the content that you're doing. So meta events and that kind of stuff are typically way more friendly to people to get into. You can just write whatever you want to write. But I don't know about anything that is really like a big guide for commanders. And it's also quite hard to set up because there are so many things that you can command. You can command world versus world. You can command meta events. You can command raid squads, strikes. You can convergences. So it's really hard to set up one big guide where you get all of those kind of, I don't know, copy and paste texts. But I think if you ask people that do that regularly, they might have something for you. But I don't, sorry. So I can't really give you anything good here. I'm not sure if we can actually get here anything done. We are just a few people. I don't know. What are they doing with the catapults? It's actually insane. They already built here 12 or so, and then now they put a lot of blueprints down here. Interesting. Interesting tactics, to be honest. What are we doing? Yeah, world versus world is open world PvP, so people just tend to do weird stuff as well. I'm not sure if we can get anything done. Yeah, maybe 12 people, maybe a little bit more. 15. I'm not sure if we can attack anything big. Probably not. They will just wipe us. It's crazy. We had a queue, but we still have a 42 queue, but we only have this many people on the commander tag. So where are the others? Doesn't look good. Maybe it's a close guild raid or something, but I don't know. That's the sad part about queues. You never know what is actually happening. Sometimes you join a map and in the end you don't know what's happening there. Maybe nothing is happening actually. Yeah, I mean, it's like, of course you can make a guide or try to make some really big spreadsheet where you put all of that stuff in, but it's true, you asked for like a really big Guild Wars 2 guide, and that's obviously making a guide for an RPG game might be doable if you're really committed, but making one big written guide for an MMO is almost impossible, just because MMOs are typically so big. It's really, really hard to actually make one single document to get every single thing covered. So typically I try to do as many videos as I can to make you understand how this works, and then you can come up with your own idea how to, I don't know, make a commanding text and stuff. I think that's way more important that you understand it yourself. And that's just my idea of how to play a game. Get better at it yourself, and maybe you can at some point understand it enough to lead people through it in open world webs, in spot content, whatever. I think that might be the better option. Yeah, I don't know. There's not that much going on. That's a little bit sad. Yeah, I think that's also where I stop for today. Thanks, guys, for joining. Check out my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Thanks for the follows. I hope to see you tomorrow. And have a good night. See you around.